I recently visited T+A in Herford, Germany, to get an overview of their approach to audio design. Of course, I knew something from the name, which means theory plus application, but I really didn't know what to expect. Frankly, I was surprised, pleasantly surprised, by what I found. Just a brief interruption, esteemed viewers. If you enjoy our videos, you might also like our other work for audiophiles and music lovers. Written equipment reviews, editor's choice ratings, product news, and music reviews. Get the latest each week with a free subscription to our email newsletters. A link is in the description. I suppose it's human nature, or the human condition, to want things that perhaps we cannot have. Sometimes this happens in relationships, and sometimes it happens in product choices. We want cozy and edgy. We want challenging and supportive. We want warm and resolving. Hope springs eternal, and thus we want technology or learning to resolve these apparent contradictions. T+A comes as close as I have seen to solving this problem in the audio world, but it makes the company a bit harder to understand at first. Wait, what the heck are you talking about, Tom? My understanding is that many audiophiles would like to deal with small, artisanal companies driven by a charismatic founder. And they'd like to get products with advanced and unique technologies. And they'd like to have a support structure and dealer network that's reliable. And they'd like to have user interface design and software engineering that's transparent, reliable, and regularly updated. And they'd like superb sound quality. And they'd like a sense of tradition. Theoretically, you can have all that, but it doesn't come together in a single brand, or at least that doesn't happen very often. It's a stereotype, but we have relatively big, successful audio companies that sometimes get digested by private equity or corporate money and seem to lose their souls. And, continuing with stereotypes, we have smaller firms that care deeply about audio quality, but also seem to lack the capital and business acumen to regularly advance their ideas in the real world. My surprise with T+A was how they resolve many of these conflicting variables. They do this as well as any brand I've seen. The story starts, as it often does, with the founder. Siegfried Amft started the company after graduating from university in 1977. While in school, one of his professors was Fritz Sennheiser. Yes, that Sennheiser. And Fritz gave him the advice that audio was a good business. It was what Amft wanted to do anyway, but starting a company is not for the faint of heart, especially at that age. So the encouragement helped. Amft began with speakers and was encouraged by the reaction of clients. He says that we always wanted to do complete systems, which means both electronics and loudspeakers, but first we had to grow the company to be able to invest in electronics engineering. Electronics were added in 1986, making T+A the nearly full-line company it is today. Headphones were added in 2019. Making a variety of products is one thing. Advancing the state of engineering in each field is another. My big takeaway from my visit is that T+A has a differentiated strategy that's rather easy to understand. Start by being committed to engineering science. This is based on the idea that there's a lot of research that's been done and continues to be done in audio engineering. What I found unusual about T+A is that they, first, recruit an engineering team interested in mastering the existing audio science. An obvious example is the use of Klippel measurement systems and in-house anechoic chambers for measuring loudspeakers. But the distinctive element is working in-house to advance or refine the existing research. We saw an example of this in their work on headphones, where they used a dedicated diffuse field room and listener panels to extend din and Harman work on headphone response curves. Published work tends to be approximate or averaged, and T+A wants to increase the precision of their objectives for products. With the right people, which requires significant scale to have a diverse technology team, T+A can follow and extend these advances. T+A has in-house driver engineering, digital design, analog design, and acoustic modeling capabilities. You can't do this without capital investment, so it's important to understand that T+A is a relatively large company in the context of high-end audio. The overall facility that I visited occupies 70,000 square feet, and you can see from some of the scenes that the inventory, warehouse, design, test, and listening facilities are rather extensive. The other indicator of scale is the size and breadth of the product line, which currently numbers 35 major models. Again, let's not lose the thread here. Having a sizable engineering team and the ability to invest in test equipment and research programs requires money. A sizable business in the hands of private owners is the straightforward way to do this while maintaining a focus on high-end audio. Straightforward, at least if you sustain the effort to get there. It helps to exemplify these capabilities with some examples. In loudspeakers, T+A uses several interesting technologies. One is that they manufacture what they call line source ribbon tweeters. These are planar magnetic drivers with a push-pull magnet array. They're generally installed in cabinets so that the radiation pattern is single-sided, not dipole. Because the tweeters tend to be long, the ceiling and floor bounce are reduced. Because the tweeters are narrow, the lateral radiation is relatively broad, and most importantly can be married to cone drivers with similar radiation patterns. Note that what's sometimes attributed to different driver technologies may be significantly the result of radiation pattern differences. A key goal, really for all loudspeaker designers, is to have smooth transitions in radiation patterns as the input signal goes up and down the frequency range. Similarly, intrinsic driver characteristics are often credited for sonic results that result from room interactions, or lack thereof. Consistent with these ideas, T+A has developed oval mid-range drivers set up in a line array configuration. Again, the goal is to have smooth radiation transitions as music traverses the spectrum. And the goal is to limit room interactions. Also in loudspeakers, T+A has many models which employ transmission line base loading. Transmission lines help to extend bass output to low frequencies, but do this with a smoother or broader reinforcement range than a reflex design. The downside is that transmission line designs are complex and thus more expensive, although for advanced speakers, the line structure itself provides some of the bracing needed to reduce cabinet vibrations. My point here isn't to prove that some technology or another is superior, but to show that T+A has taken steps that are unusual and not easy. This seems to exemplify their approach. In digital electronics, T+A has invested in basic development of DACs. They've been a long-standing proponent of DSD, and many of their models have dedicated DSD conversion and separate dedicated PCM conversion circuits. They claim that optimal conversion of the different formats is not possible with a common converter design. In simple terms, because it requires one format to be converted to another format, and that conversion generates artifacts. In DSD, T+A converters can run at 49.2 MHz for DSD 1024 conversion. In PCM, their better models use quad sigma delta 32-bit converters running at 768K samples per second. Again, up to 49.2 MHz. In analog electronics, T+A is a proponent of a technology they call HV for high voltage. The idea is simply to capture some of the advantages of tube circuits by allowing high voltages and a resulting expansion of the linear operating region of solid-state circuits. Used in a pure Class A stage, the result is linearity and high bandwidth. I also found it consistent with this thinking that their top amplifier uses tubes for the input stage, JFETs for the voltage amplifier, MOSFETs for the driver stage, and bipolar transistors for the output stage. Horses for courses is a well-known philosophy if you can put in the effort. All right, let's summarize. The odd and perhaps admirable thing about some companies, especially German companies, is that engineering at this level seems to be simply what one does when the goal is to build the best things you can. As a result, companies like T+A can fly under the radar a bit. Similarly, while I wouldn't say that T+A products are inexpensive, they don't explore the very high heights of the high end either. If you, like most people, have a budget, a healthy budget, but a budget nonetheless, and want exceptional quality, this seems to be a brand to reckon with. I hope you've enjoyed this brief overview of T+A Electroacoustic? If you have, we'd invite you to come back and join us again. And thanks for watching.